Okay, so let's talk about creativity. We hear that word all the time, but what if I told you that everything we think we know about it is, well, wrong? This idea that it's some rare gift, a lightning strike of genius? What if the real secrets to being creative are actually hiding in the very things we're taught to avoid our whole lives?
You know the story, right? For centuries, we've been told that creativity is this kind of divine spark, a gift from above that's just handed out to a few special people. It's mysterious, it's magical, and, it's not for the rest of us. It's a really powerful myth, for sure, but that's all it is, a myth.
And that's the big question we're really going to dig into here. What if the path to real innovation isn't about being perfect, or being the expert in the room, or having that unshakable confidence? What if it's about the exact opposite? What if it's about embracing ignorance, welcoming failure, and, yeah, even listening to that little voice of self-doubt? To really get where this whole lone genius idea comes from, we gotta go way back to the original artistic superstar, Michelangelo. I mean, he is the poster boy for superhuman talent. But was he really a one-man miracle? Well, you can thank this guy, Giorgio Vasari, for starting the whole thing. He was Michelangelo's biographer, and he basically ran the most successful PR campaign in history. He didn't just paint Michelangelo as a talented craftsman. Oh no. He was a vessel for divine power. And that story, it's stuck for 500 years. Now, this is where that whole myth just falls apart. The reality is, Michelangelo was anything but a lone genius. His own records show he had a huge team of paid assistants helping him with things like the Sistine Chapel. And that divine gift, turns out it was thousands upon thousands of hours of brutal, hard work, practice that started when he was just 6 years old, learning to carve stone. So the big takeaway here is, genius isn't born, it's built. And that leads us right to our first forbidden key. We're always told to become an expert, to be the authority on something. But what if that's actually a creative trap? What if the real power is in knowing nothing at all? So, let me tell you this great story that just nails this idea. The author of the book this is based on, he's a painter, right? Not a TV producer. And he gets this totally random call from a TV station in Dubai. They want him to come run a creative workshop, spark some new ideas. Sounds pretty straightforward. Yeah, not so straightforward. He gets there and the job has totally changed. They don't want a workshop. They want him, a painter, to create an entire soap opera from scratch, right then and there. So he walks into this stuffy conference room full of seasoned TV pros, all experts. First thing he does? Gets rid of all the furniture, makes the space a blank canvas. Then, and this is the genius move, he makes everyone switch jobs. The writers have to think about camera angles, the designers have to invent characters, and the result was incredible. Because they weren't experts anymore, that fear of looking stupid just vanished. They were free to play, and a tidal wave of fresh, raw ideas just poured out. They made something totally new, precisely because they were all forced to be beginners again. The sculptor Eduardo Childita really summed it all up perfectly. The creative sweet spot, the magic, it's in the unknown. It's about jumping into the things you haven't mastered yet. Okay, on to our second key. And this one challenges an instinct that's been drilled into us since we were kids. The fear of getting it wrong. I mean, from school to our jobs, we're taught failure is the worst thing possible. But what if it's actually the most important ingredient of all? Just look at this number for a second. 4,999. That is how many prototypes that didn't work James Dyson built before he finally cracked the code on his vacuum cleaner. Each one of those failures wasn't a dead end. It was a lesson. It was a step forward. And it's not just inventors. To create a masterpiece like Apocalypse Now, Francis Ford Coppola shot over 200 hours of film. Do you know how much of that actually ended up in the final movie? 5%. He threw away 95% of his work. The genius was found in the edit, in having the courage to throw away almost everything. And that really gets to the core of it. Creativity is just a numbers game. It's about generating a massive amount of stuff, ideas, drafts, experiments, and knowing that most of it is just not going to work. The genius isn't just in the creating. It's in being ruthless enough to throw away the good stuff to get to the absolutely great stuff. So we've embraced being a beginner. We're trying to fail more. But what about that little voice in your head? You know the one that says you're not good enough? Well, our third forbidden key suggests that that little voice of self-doubt, it might actually be your secret weapon. Just think about this.
At the absolute peak of Beatlemania, when he was one of the most famous people on the planet, John Lennon wrote the song Help. Years later, he said it wasn't just a song, it was a genuine cry for help. It came from a place of deep insecurity. And that vulnerability, that doubt, is what fueled one of his most powerful and honest songs ever. You see this with top performers all the time. The amazing Kate Winslet, an Oscar winner, has said she sometimes wakes up thinking, I'm a fraud, they're going to find me out. Now, that's not a sign of weakness. That's what keeps great artists on their toes. It stops them from getting complacent. So here's the thing. When you combine that feeling of insecurity with a real passion for what you're doing, it becomes a powerful engine. It forces you to work harder, to push farther, to constantly ask yourself, can I do better? It drives you to hold yourself to a ridiculously high standard, all so you can prove that nagging little voice wrong. So what does this all add up to? It means the door to creative thinking isn't locked because you lack some kind of magic talent. No, it's held shut by our own fear. Our fear of looking foolish, our fear of getting it wrong, and our fear of feeling insecure.
So just remember the 3 forbidden keys. Number 1, embrace being an amateur. Go step into situations where you have no idea what the rules are.
Number 2, actively go looking for failure. Understand that churning out a high volume of work is the only path to real quality.
And number 3, use your doubt. Don't let it be an anchor that holds you back. Let it be the fuel that drives you to do something amazing.
I'll leave you with this final thought. True creativity isn't about finding the one right answer. It's about having the courage to explore all the wrong ones. So the only real question is, what wrong idea are you going to give yourself permission to try today?